How time sure does fly. It's already the holiday season. Thanksgiving is this Thursday here in the U.S. And I wanted to take this time to express my gratitude to all of you for your support and for helping this channel to grow. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart, for none of this would be possible without all of you. This year has been truly amazing thus far. Not that it hasn't been without its challenges, but that's just part of it. Overall, it's been a pretty good year. So thank you. I know that many of you are grateful also, and I wanted to share a couple messages of gratitude that I have received. Frater, it's getting to be about Thanksgiving time, and I just wanted to express what gratitude I have. Looking back at the past year, I feel like it's been 3 years so much has happened. From manifesting a cheeseburger while I was in jail, I've gotten so far. Yes, I remember you. The Hamburglar. You've written in before, I remember. To be honest, when I watched your first video, I was bored out of my mind with the painstakingly slow pace, but something inside me forced myself to listen to the full 10 minutes, which later grew to hours of study, which led to my entire year being radically changing in my spiritual growth and practice. That was your spirit telling you to listen. It's happened to me before, where I had thought, am I really going to listen to this whole thing? But then something made me stay and listen to it. So I know what that's like, absolutely. Your higher self knew what you needed, and I'm sure that countless others have experienced this as well. Recently, I bought your planetary magic program and plan on amping up my magic greatly. I've studied Zen philosophy for a few months and just came to being at peace with the world and the nature of this game, which really shook me to the foundations and had me wondering, well, why do magic when I find beauty and gratitude in all things? Then I found my answer. Another magician was giving a talk about his progression in magic, and it sparked me with the idea of just playing with the world, sculpting it as I pleased, embodying the magician and aligning myself with a cause for the fun of it. Also, I've created an egregore of wisdom and become high priest of my circle's new religion. Well, there really aren't any new religions. They're usually an attempt to bring back the old religions. On the rare occasion, somebody will make something up out of left field, and for some reason it'll catch on. But for the most part, there's nothing really new under the sun. You say you studied Zen philosophy, so odds are you're probably borrowing principles from other religions and combining them into your own. But they're still part of old religions. I think that as you progress and further study the Hermetic principles, that your views will tend to shift towards Hermeticism. There's a reason that ceremonial magicians are also known as Hermetic magicians. So I would look into Hermeticism and see how well that aligns with you. Now, if you took someone like me who already has a decent following, it'd be quite easy to set up a new religion based upon the teachings. Thing is, there's nothing new about those teachings at all. They're actually quite old and come from the ancient mystery schools as well as Hermeticism. You'll want to be careful with such things because you want to avoid ending up with some sort of cult driven by ego, which would then take you in the opposite direction of the spirituality that you want to develop. Continuing on. Once again, quite fun, and it gives me such joy to fulfill my purpose in life, to learn and teach. I used a little magic, a lot of psychology, and got the perfect girlfriend. Mars to snatch her, Venus to keep. But now more than ever, I'm realizing I don't truly need magic or to study seduction to be a captivating, magnetic person, which is incredibly great news to me. Yeah, you just be yourself, which is easier said than done. Most people who meet someone new that they like are out to impress them, when they should just be themselves. And they teach all this over at RSD. That and using magic to get amazing grades, not need sleep, and have plenty of free time has changed my life completely. Well, you do need sleep. You do need to let the subconscious come to the surface so that you don't go insane. Remember when we talked about the subconscious being like the operating system and running all the background tasks that you don't have to think about? Well, when you're sleeping and dreaming, that's when it will run like a defrag on your hard drive, taking everything throughout your day and filing it away where it needs to be. So you don't want to deprive yourself of sleep. None of this would have been conceivable to me a year ago when I was on some kind of high most of the time, brainwashing myself with rap music, having my purpose completely unknown, and my well-being on the back burner. I've come so fucking far, and if it hadn't been for me getting that spark of curiosity, forcing myself to listen to your lecture and constantly studying and putting knowledge into action, thank you, Frater, for helping me to change my life beyond my wildest dreams. And thank you. Like literally thank yourself, because you remained open. You listened with an open mind. You had your spirit telling you you need to listen to this. You did the work. And I thank you for your support and for writing in and for the kind words. But you did the work. And so I congratulate you on stepping up and taking charge of your life. And you're still a young guy. I mean, look what you've accomplished in just a year. Just imagine how far that you're going to go. And I'm grateful for having my small part in that. That's what it's about to me. Dear Frater, during meditation today, I received a glimpse of how my life could have degenerated had I not discovered your teachings. When I returned to California from living abroad 2 years ago, this is what greeted me. A cluttered house in disrepair, a yard clogged with junk, termites, a sick and neglected pet that had roamed the yard with its eyes bulging out of its head when it was supposed to be in hibernation, a mother who was paranoid about mental disease and had started taking prescribed antidepressants, a depressed father who is working a job where he was disrespected every day, and a brother who played video games 60 hours a week. I felt like the biggest failure on earth for moving into those conditions and had little gratitude for having a roof over my head. However, during my final days abroad, I had discovered feng shui, and out of desperation decided to clear all the clutter from my life. I began by clearing out my YouTube Watch Later playlist. I recall the moment when my cursor hovered over the remove button for a strange mystery school video on removing emotional blockages. Time slowed down, and a small voice inside me said, "Hold on a second, man, this may look scary and is likely a complete waste of time, but you know that you have emotional blocks and you need all the help you can get. Why not give it a shot?" Yeah, once again, that's your spirit knowing what you need. Just as my spirit knows what I need to put out. I can't tell you how many times I thought that I knew the lesson that I was going to do, and would be stopped by a whole other topic popping into my mind and being told, no, you need to do a lesson on this. And so what I thought I was going to go ahead and record would be put on the back burner. So I get a lot of mail and messages wondering if I'm ever going to talk about certain subjects and topics. Well, many times I plan to, and then I'll be directed to talk about something completely different. And I always obey that inner voice of the higher self, because it knows far better than I do. It is the link to the divine. I'm sort of terrified when I imagine how these past 2 years could have turned out had I deleted your video and continued my downward spiral. The negative environment likely would have consumed me. Flares of rage ensued from family members whenever I cleared a walkway or threw out things like microwavable takeout containers, and the offer to resent this treatment constantly cropped up in my mind. Yeah, people do resist change, even when the change is for the better, sadly enough. And the older they get, the more they are going to resist that change because their habits are so ingrained. You cannot teach an old dog new tricks, as they say, and this is why. It's not their fault, they're just carrying out their programming. If I had continued floating down the river of my family's degeneracy, I would likely be depressed, bitter, and suicidal. If those thought forms had continued to grow for 2 years, and then I encountered your positive messages of personal responsibility and creating harmony between the two halves of my mind, I would have reached into my reserve of disappointments and lashed out as one of your deranged haters. Perspective is all, point meditation has taught me. I praise my subconscious and yours for guiding me to your lessons and then giving me the resolve to get up between 4 and 5 a.m. every morning, walk to the park, and then perform my banishings and groundings barefoot with no threat of being overheard or seen. It didn't matter if there was frost on the grass or if I felt like shit. I was desperate for a real solution. I used the discomfort to show my subconscious I meant business. It's taken a lot of work every day, and most of the time there was no sign of results at all. I listened to your message. A lot of people want to save the world, but how many of them have saved their neighborhoods, their families, or themselves, and your other lessons on repeat? Now the environment is showing signs of change. I have cleared the clutter from the house countless times, instigated garage sales, performed several house cleansings with all of the elements, anointed railroad spikes with fiery wall of protection oil, and have drove them into the earth outside, froze out negative family, friends, banished the shit out of the place, created in Ganga, and brought in as much positivity and gratitude as I could. I removed my own emotional blockages through the core technique when Robin Williams failed, and filled notebooks with the phrase, I forgive you. Yeah, forgiveness is key. Not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. And that's how you remove an emotional blockage, is forgiving yourself by realizing it's not your fault. It's a bit of a paradox that the more you relinquish control, the more control over your life you get. Now the front of the house and the lawn have been remodeled. The dead wood and bad trees have been cut down by someone named Raphael. And the termites have been killed. There's an herbal garden. Trees, vines, and succulents flourish on free water. There's a hammock, new furniture, and new paint in several rooms. I mixed Van and Success oil into the paint. Right on. Love it. I installed water filters, air filters, and threw out toxic foods. I moved the pet into an artificial cave inside and spoon-fed it until it was strong enough to crawl into a new hole where she passed away in peace. Oh, I'm sorry about that. My condolences. It's always hard losing a pet. They are family after all. My dad now has a new job where he's respected and in the company of people he considers his friends. My mom has adopted a healthier lifestyle and diet and dropped the pharmakia. And my brother has found 2 passions and is taking classes to pursue his dreams. It's far from perfect, and some days are better than others, but the alternative is drifting into oblivion, and that is not an option. By the end of that meditation, I was streaked with tears, which come back up when I really see how much your work and your bravery has influenced my life. You showed me a path that I never could have imagined, one that is my birthright and yet was hidden from me until I was ready to take massive action. You saved my life, Frater. With pure gratitude, I thank you. Well, it's my pleasure. And I mean that literally, because I derive great pleasure from helping others. You are my brother, after all. All of you are my brothers and sisters. That's what Frater means. But I can't take all the credit. I mean, you've done the work, and I've also stood on the shoulders of the giants who have come before me. Mentors such as Liam Thomas Christopher, Bob Proctor, Darren Brown, and countless others who deserve the gratitude as well. It is proof positive that one person can make a difference, and the people that they touch will go on to touch others and help lift them up. This is how we change the world. one person at a time. And he also sent in a picture here that sums it all up perfectly. And I'm going to assume this is an orange ball that he found in his yard. I'd like to thank both of you for sending in your stories of success and gratitude, and look forward to many more to come. Again, I want to thank all of you for your love and support, and for just taking the time to listen. May you all have a safe and happy holiday, and I'll see you soon. Take care.